Well, I might as well begin here. The demise of YouTube. And let me explain what I mean by that. And I'll give you some examples anyway. There's been a lot of changes going on YouTube, even for me. And there really isn't, especially if you're living in the Philippines, there really isn't much to listen to anymore, unless you like the drama. But I'm going to give an example. Let's say Philippine Antics. Now, this woman on here who is obese and has lupus and I think diabetes, maybe high blood pressure, spends a lot of her time doing these shows. She's not active, so she's kind of doing kind of a balancing act. These are just some examples, but I'm going to speak about that for a second here. George had to, her partner there, had to take on a job. It's unfortunate that a lot of YouTubers are dependent on the income for or from their show, and it doesn't always pan out. Some of them are forced to continue having shows because that extra income, it could be a couple of hundred, could be $400 a month, I think, as she stated on Philippine Antics. And it helps supplement the income. But in order to make that $200 to $400 a month to supplement your Social Security, whatever you're getting, the amount of time and effort that you have to put into to earn that $200 to $400 a month is really not worth it. Because in this particular case, she's remaining very inactive, become very dependent. Then there's theatrics on the show, editing. Now George is kind of sort of weaning off the show a bit. He has to work, and when they have to do editing, he has to spend time at night. So there's a lot of effort on channels who are monetized, and they got to keep that the interest of their viewers, but they do it in a way, for example, creating drama or extreme gossip. And then they become a gossip channel, which you can make enemies by doing so, always talking about other people's business, and that becomes the show. They wind up repeating the same stuff over that other people are putting on. The Eastman, Elliot Eastman incident has been so repeated time and time again. They'll pick a topic and they'll stick to it when they have no other material. The channel becomes boring after a while and they lose viewers. And George is the sidekick of her. And, well, George is rather boring and kind of a peculiar guy that likes to wear wigs. Some say it's for entertainment, but I don't really know. But anything to, whether it's Fazio banging a pot or whatever it might be, people have to come up with a gimmick of some sort to further their show. And yeah, well, I get up early. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. But I'm going to get to a point on here. But so, an examination of a lot of these shows. Now, here's the thing: when you've been on you have a YouTube channel for a long time, the only thing that's going to save your channel is, well, put it this way: they talk about the Philippines, and everything that you could possibly think of has been spoken about the Philippines. Of course, the most, the commonality would be, well, how much does it cost to live in the Philippines? Can you afford to live here? Uh, that gets boring. People have a generally good idea that if you're going to come here prepared, where a lot of people do not. and they have to wind up doing YouTube channels to supplement their income. But then they become very dependent on the income from their YouTube channel, and that doesn't always work out either. It comes to a time that they get burnt out, or the audience gets burnt out on their material, and the channel suffers. And some people get off YouTube, and they have to find a way to live on whatever fixed income they were living on and not depend on revenue from YouTube. And this is a common thing that happens on here. As I was watching, you were talking about some guy in jail, but he complied with your deadline on Monday. No, he didn't. Well, I can't explain it. There's too much history. I've been on here for a long time. I'd love to answer your questions, but it's just too elaborate. You'd have to know the history of my channel and the people out there and the trolls and all that stuff. Somebody's actually in jail as a result of their behavior and doing some things they shouldn't do, and now they're paying the price for it. It gets ugly sometimes when you're on YouTube for a long time. There's going to be people that like you, and there's going to be people that don't like you. There's going to be other people that convince other people not to like you, and that's just the way it is on here. You got people that will stalk your home. You got people that will do some dastardly things because they just decided they don't like you, or somebody said you're not a good person, so they take their word that you're not a good person, and they attack you. I could go on with this because this has been part of my history on here, and I've been on here a long time. But I've seen the demise of many channels. For many reasons, they had a demise, and a lot of them are dropping like flies too, because a lot of YouTubers are seniors out here in the Philippines. They're expats that have moved out here, and unfortunately, and even with Philippine Antics, she came out here with pre-existing conditions, and which is not the white health conditions, that is, which is really one of the stupidest things you could ever do, especially coming to this country, and if you have no insurance whatsoever, man, that should be a deterrent. Or no, have something in your savings account or something to be ready to bail out if you had to. But I see people making a lot of mistakes all the time on here. The channels generally don't last. Some have a good track record of being on for a lot of years. A few of them make some half-decent money per month. But then they got to balance this out, and they got to ask themselves, and they're always being attacked no matter how popular your channel is. Some people make up to a couple of thousand a month on good months. But then they have situations where a lot of people are in opposition with them, and they got to think, for their own safety or otherwise, is it really worth making this money every month? But again, people become dependent on their YouTube money. Okay, let's say YouTube doesn't exist anymore. YouTube cancels out. There's a lot of people that's going to be put into some horrible financial situations because you become so dependent on the money that you're making on there, Yeah. I've only been in the Philippines for a few months, debating on starting a business. Do you have any ideas? Well, I don't know what you mean about starting a business. It has to go through your partner. If you don't have a Filipino partner, you can't work. You can't work in the Philippines. I don't know if you knew this or not. No. Okay, you'd have to have a business under your Filipina, and you can't be attending that business. You can't be working in that business. That's not allowed out here. There is no good business for a foreigner to have in the Philippines. There's too much competition with everything. If you want to do a restaurant and offer Western culture food, that won't work either. Although it's a great idea, and I love Western culture food, but Filipinos are Filipinos. You're not going to change their diets. It's very difficult, very, very difficult if you're thinking on supplementing income by trying to create a business out here. It generally does not work. Yeah. Expert chef. Well, I imagine you're doing food business or something. I don't know. That's taking a chance. A lot of people have started businesses and they invested in all the equipment and everything, and it just was a huge failure. Then you got to recoup all that money somehow that you spent on putting the business together, different appliances, cooking. Most businesses don't do well, and there's too much competition. Now you want to sell Filipino food, everybody else's has a restaurant selling Filipino food. What is going to make your restaurant, for example, more special than somebody else's restaurant? No, it's not a good idea. I don't know what your income is, but whatever you do, don't start a YouTube show and thinking you're going to make a lot of money either. That's another thing. Where people are thinking, yeah, you got to understand on YouTube, the only people that make money, if you're a good-looking Filipina, there's a good chance you can make some good money on here. That is, Stefan. Too much of a risk with a bar or restaurant, long and late hours. It's not worth it. The effort is horrible. Then you have problems with the people that work for you. Are they going to show up? Are they going to quit? Are they going to steal from you? I mean, you don't, there's too many variables. You know, Believe me, I've learned a lot from living out in the Philippines well, a fairly long time. I've seen businesses come and go. They had the right idea and they had all these hopes and dreams that it was going to catch on, but then somebody else started a restaurant similar to yours. There's just too much competition out here for food, and you're not going to change a Filipino diet. Hate to tell you that. And you might say, well, let me start something different because there's a lot of foreigners everywhere. So you might open up a restaurant or something where you're selling a lot of westernized food. Well, forget about the Filipinos being your majority of your customers. That ain't going to happen. Two reasons. You're not going to get them away from their rice and fish and all that stuff. And secondly, a lot of Filipinos can't afford to go to a decent restaurant, even Americanized food. It's just too expensive for them. To create good food, you have to come up with you got to be able to do the expenses and, using real cheeses, not fake cheese. I could go through a list of things. People try to cut corners, but their product doesn't taste good. Who wants to have hamburgers with fake cheese? And that's what you're going to get out here a lot of times. It's just some low grade material that it's made with. Everything is deep fried, and you are not going to change your culture out here. What they normally eat, even the kids. I've experienced that with some kids would actually refuse some Americanized food. I had no idea what it was. To them, it was distasteful, but you gave them started off with some rice, and they took to that. They just took to that like, you know, a sperm for fertilizing an egg. I mean, it was like, what is this stuff? It's a very deep rooted culture out here, and they're very set on their ways. And as far as the kind of food they eat, it's all going to be deep fried and unhealthy. And that's why there's a lot of unhealthy Filipinos that don't live to be a long time. They drink a lot of things like Coca Cola, or they drink alcohol, or, their diet does not consist of any vitamins, or they can't afford to go to doctors. A lot of them, not all of them, but they can't, generally, a lot of them can't afford to go for checkups. Their health deteriorates, or they just don't know they have something because they never went for a checkup. You know, um, there's a lot of things you have to think about when you're going to live here. Too much. Yeah, so yeah, you're a chef. You specialize in French. Oh, forget about that. Well, you'd have to go to a more sophisticated area, like, probably in Makati or somewhere in, Manila or something. French. I mean, it's a great idea, but this is the Philippines. French cuisine. There's not many people into French food, or neither am I, unless you have a good croissant. But you're not going to open up a business with croissants. French is a nice idea. It's different. I applaud you on that, but that wouldn't work out here in the Philippines. Save your money. I mean, I'm telling you ahead of time, save your money. There are specialty restaurants in the Philippines, but um, it's usually going to be things like either Mexican food. There's a few good restaurants in Cebu for Mexican food, or example, what else? There was Mexican food, and the other one that was kind of working. I'm trying to think here. I've been to a bunch of restaurants out here. Or you may have an Italian food place, okay? And I know a business out here I think it's doing fairly well. And they sell, supposed to be authentic Italian food. I went there. It was okay, but it wasn't, but their service was absolutely wonderful. The very modern place, the restaurant was very clean, very modern. And, uh, and this was in outside of IT Park or somewhere. It was okay, not bad. And they were making some business, but it has to do with longevity. I mean, how long your business has been there takes a while to catch on. For example, if you're serving good food, people are going to come back. You got to build up that clientele, um, and after a while, people catch on. They know where you are. They spread the word to friends. You got to try this place out. But even that doesn't work all the time. You know, a lot of people have spent extraordinary amounts of money putting a restaurant together, but it's really taking a chance. I mean, the expenditure of a restaurant is phenomenal. I mean, a decent restaurant, all the cooking paraphernalia you need, ovens and steamer, everything you need. It's in a restaurant, all the stainless steelware and cutlery, dishes, glasses, buying stock for the restaurant to create these meals, um, fresh produce and vegetables, whatever you need to make these meals. If you're serving beef or something, where to get the best beef at the best prices, in order for you to make it a profit to sell in your business. But unfortunately, a lot of the good restaurants are charging some extraordinary money. They got to pay their, employees, everything else, uh, and they have to export their products too, so it becomes expensive, and they have to turn over to you, with high prices on the food for them to make a profit. So if you ask my opinion, what you did, I'm answering you, and I think it's extraordinarily chancy thing to do to start a business out here. Oh, geez. It's been a little while since I've been there. Oh, gosh. The Mexican restaurant was, oh, crap. You'll have to look it up. It's kind of in the IT Park area. Um, Jesus Christ. And that's a good little restaurant. And they make a little business the times I've been in there, which has only been a few times. Yeah, only been a few times. But, you know, uh, specialty places it's remember, location is a big thing. And finding a good location, it's thousands and thousands of dollars to start a business and everything you need to do and renovating the place to your needs to fit the motif or whatever, of the kind of food and, you're going to be serving there. It's too much of a risky investment here in the Philippines to do that, you know, unless you're like in an ideal area, I don't know if you're in Manila area, maybe Cavite or surrounding areas like that, which are highly populated with people who actually have money that could afford to buy your specialty French food or whatever. But French, it's limited. People have limited taste with French food, and that's all over the world, actually. Italian's different. French, perhaps a French bakery, but even so, you'd have to offer some local Filipino type of bakery goods. There has to be a combination so it serves both. It's risky. It's just really risky. Unless you got a lot of money that you could afford to lose on taking a chance. But it's a gamble. It's a gamble. Yeah, I forgot the name of this restaurant. It's not that I frequented a lot. I went there twice. And you just have to look up in Google Italian restaurants in Cebu, and you'll find it on there. It's in the IT Park area. There are all kinds of restaurants out here, and unless you're a name brand like McDonald's or Jollibee or something, they make incredible business. But anything that's kind of out of the box, there's not a lot of people out here that's out of the box dining. I think a lot of people are afraid to try something new if you're Filipino, especially. But it's welcome to Westerners that live out here. But even they don't frequent these places all the time. They'll try it out and so forth and all that. But some places will make steady customers, return customers. But I think it's an extraordinary chance that you'd be taking to do that. Um, if you're not retired, I mean, is that why you want to do a business? And you realize, do you have a Filipino girlfriend or wife? Because the business would have to go under her name. You do realize that. You got the capital, sold my last restaurant. I've been traveling Southeast Asia for several months. Yeah, Cebu is a tough sell. I mean, Philippines is a tough sell. I actually welcome, and it's refreshing to find a different type of restaurant when I'm in Cebu area. I welcome a new restaurant, but I wouldn't go French. No, I just don't see that working here, a French restaurant. I just don't, I'm just being honest with you. I just don't see that happening at all. They don't take to anything that's really different, they're afraid to try. But as I said, you'd have to do a restaurant in a wealthy area, and you would have to be around people that could afford to eat your type of food, you know. Uh, like, for example, espresso, coffee, all that shit. There's so many stands around with that. But if you want to do a business like that, you have to make it unique. And we got places called, the French Baker in the malls, okay? And uh, they sell basically bread rolls and a few pastries and things like that. I didn't find it anything extraordinary at all when I've been there. But it's called the French Baker, and they've been around for a while, and I think they have probably several stores in the malls. You might find them in a lot of malls out here. But how successful they are, I don't know. I've been there and I've never seen like too much of a variety of products that would interest me. So, yeah, there's actually what they call French Baker. The French Baker, it's called. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing extraordinary. Well, are you with a Filipina? And you just can't walk into the Philippines as a foreigner and open up a business. I hope you know that. You can't do that. The business name would have to be under your partner or wife. It has to be Filipino. And otherwise, you can't really do that. So I hope that enlightens you a little bit. Now, Italian restaurants, I mean, people take to that if it's good. If it's good food, I see people taking to that because the one restaurant I've been in, and I'm sorry, but on a spur of the moment, you're asking me for the name of the restaurant. If I haven't frequented a place, I generally won't remember their name. You know, I've only gone there a couple of times, but I know there's one restaurant there that I thought was actually pretty good, and it's run by somebody who's trained, who's Italian, that has trained their employees to cook these meals. So that's always a help when you actually have somebody from that country who knows the cuisine, who knows how to properly cook it, make it authentic, you know. And you don't always get that. You got Filipinos that open up different businesses with food other than Filipino food, and they don't have a clue what they're doing, what they consider to be Italian food or Greek food. Greek works out here a little bit. If you have a little Greek restaurant, you might catch on with foreigners, but as far as locals around here, that's 50-50 on that. I mean, I personally like some Greek food myself. I mean, I'm not trying to discourage you, I'm trying to enlighten you, just to let you know that, yeah, open up some French restaurant, I just don't think is gonna sell good out here in the Philippines, really. Have you noticed the most Filipina? Okay, have you noticed that most Filipina have kids? Yes. There's so many single mothers. I've dated several, and they all have kids. One had like 5 kids, thought about it since she was very beautiful, but a money grabber. Well, I got news for you. My long term girlfriend here has 8 kids. No, they don't live with us. There's only two of the younger ones that live with us. So take a breath. Don't faint. Don't faint. Yeah, she has 8 children. A lot of Filipinos have a lot of children out here. But I hate to tell you, but that unfortunately, there's not many Filipinos that don't have kids. At a very young age, they're having children out here. So finding a Filipino without kids, that's like a search for gold. But they're out there. I mean, they are out there. Yeah. Eight, 8 kids. They were almost all here to pass on the holidays here, visiting here. Fortunately for them, they're very well adjusted. They got jobs or careers, future, whatever. We only taking care of 2 of the kids that are still going to school here where I live. Until the point that they go to college, they will most likely not be here because they're going to go back to the big city. I don't live in Cebu City. I live north of Cebu. And it's going to come to a point in time where we'll be down to one child taken care of because the brother's a little bit older. He'll be going to college or something, and one of the young ones will be staying here. And then when his turn comes, he finishes high school, they'll be out of here too. So we're going to have an empty nest syndrome over here. No, they're not mine. No, 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 no. I don't have any children through my girlfriend, and I wouldn't even try. She just turned 50 just the other day, and I'm considerably older than her, and hell no, it wouldn't be right. At my age and even her age, to have a chance of having kids would be dangerous at her age, and she doesn't want that burden and responsibility at that age to enjoy her life without raising any more kids. But no, no, I have one child that lives in America that I don't, get along with. We're not really in touch with each other, and that turned out to be a disaster. And I don't want any more disasters in my life, not at my old age. And it's not right anyway. I preach this on here all the time that don't be some old dude having children with a young girl or something like that. For example, the kid's never going to get to know the father because you're too old. You go to croak sometime, and then the kid's going to be fatherless. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair for the child. No, the two are not mine. I only have one child who's like, you know, probably older than you. Okay. Um, but she lives in the Pacific Northwest, so she's still even there. Yeah, we're not in touch with each other really. Just mental telepathy or something. Well, anything you do out here in the Philippines is a chance. And I had just been done talking about people who are dependent on their YouTube channels to create revenue. And it doesn't always work the way they want. They have to put more money, excuse me, a lot more time into creating a show. And then if they get into editing and stuff like that, it just becomes a big job. It's not balancing out of your effort to the ratio of your effort to earnings ratio. It's just not panning out. And doesn't always work out for them on a YouTube channel. Well, I'm over in the Bantayan Islands in Santa Fe, if you're familiar. That's where I'm at. I'm about, I don't know, what is it, 80 miles or something from Cebu City. I don't know. I, I'm just approximating. It's an island, province island, and small town life. It's a fishing village here. It's idyllic, in its own way, but the amenities are not here, like a good hospital, or you don't have a supermarket here, and you just got some local family stores and stuff, and all you're going to see mostly 99.99% Filipino food, canned food, the same products every store has out here. A lot of competition with each other. They're selling the same crap, and you have to wind up going to Cebu if you want your comfort food, to go to SNR and places like that to get the kind of food that you like to eat. But anyway, I started talking about how things are winding down on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe it's for the best, really. And I told my viewers the other day I'm winding down on this thing here, and I've been sticking around for a little bit till something that I accomplished comes to, or working on to accomplish comes to fruition. I won't go into that. It has to do with a lawsuit, and it's just my time has come pretty much on here too. I will message you when I decide to go there. Anything of interest there? Never heard of Santa Fe. Yeah, it's kind of north of Cebu. It's Santa Fe Bantayan Islands, Bantayyan. Look it up on YouTube. Just punch in anything Bantayan Islands, and it'll come right up. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of videos having to do with. This is kind of a somewhat of a popular place to come to. Not as much as places like Boracay or places like that, but and we get a lot of tourists out here. It's just a quiet fishing village type town. Um, Crime rate is very low. It's a different lifestyle. Different lifestyle. We have restaurants here, of course. Um, Nothing huge, but we got many. Not many activities to do in this town unless you're retired. It's just yeah. It's laid back. It's pretty laid back if that's what you like. Oh, through the years, believe me, I've had thousands of videos. It's just gotten to a point it didn't become important anymore. I put videos on and I take them down, all the time. Either I don't like what I put on, or somebody. Basically, almost every show of mine is being copied on another channel. And there are people who actually live for me. They simulcast my broadcast. They They record everything I do. These are trolls now. They record everything I do and they put it up on their channel. Yeah, we have a lot of sick people out here in YouTube land and that cater to the Philippines genre here. It's so pathetic that you would think that I'd be making this shit up if I would tell you the things that go on here, but I believe me, I wouldn't make anything up. Yeah, YouTube is I don't know. It's either people are burning out on it or YouTube itself is burning out. Um, you don't have a good profit margin really when you sign up on YouTube and you have a channel. You're not making as much money as you'd like to compared to the work to put into your show and the time you're actually putting into it. It's not measuring out. Oh, I've done stuff like that in the past, you know. I'm about off YouTube, really. Yeah. It's been in the planning stage for for years actually, for years. But I always got drawn back into it, you know. It's like quitting a bad habit and then you fall off the wagon or something and you wind up doing back into it again. It's very easy to do on YouTube. I've been through that many times. But everything has come to a head lately and I could excuse me. I can see myself getting off pretty soon here. I've been talking about it. Nobody ever believes me though. I don't blame them because YouTube can be quite addictive. If you get involved with the drama on here, then you're hooked. And you know, it's not that you want drama, but you get hooked on it. You know, it's better you be a fly on a wall than to actually do a YouTube channel and just kind of get into all the shit on here. Believe me when I tell you, it's not worth it. It's just not. Why would a troll make a channel? Because I'm popular. Although you don't see hardly any videos of mine on there. Believe me, I've had thousands. Well, people get jealous of other YouTubers. Some of them live their life vicariously through somebody who's living in the Philippines and actually has a show and talks about it because they can't make it to the Philippines. They can't afford the plane ticket or they're not retired yet or whatever the case may be. And they get upset with people very easily on here because a lot of outsiders, they watch these YouTube shows on the Philippines, people putting their own shows up, and they're thinking, oh God, these people are living the life out there. I got to come there and live the life, but that's not true necessarily. You know, people are coming here and realizing that there are limitations here in Philippines, all kinds of limitations on what you're used to in the Western world. And sooner or later, you have to, you know, adhere to the different culture and values out here and what's expected of a foreigner, what's not expected. There's a lot of rules, really, if you want to fit in, and you got to know how to talk. Don't get really sarcastic or exercise too much of your humor on them because our humor and their humor is two different things. They may take you too seriously on something and think you're insulting them, you know, our slang uh, and so forth. They don't always understand that. You got to keep that in mind too. If you're coming out here, like you said, uh, yeah, I've had many channels with downing me. They devote shows just on me. Believe it or not, I'm not famous on here. I have nothing to show for it financially, you know, for my show. I'm not even monetized. I just came on there to rap a little bit about shit going on, and there's always people on here attacking me. Many not even met me. It's insane. It's exactly what it is. That's a good word. It's insane. But there's certain things going on right now that is starting to allow me to finally reach my goal of just getting off this completely. Because throughout the years I've been on here, I've talked about everything I could possibly talk about the Philippines and otherwise. And sometimes it gets too old. Well, I'm getting too old. Both. There's too much drama queens on here, you know. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. That's what I could tell you on that. Then why do you continue to do YouTube? Sounds like you have many. Oh God, you have no idea what's going on. I got a guy in jail for cyber libel. Oh yeah, there's an actual court trial going on against him. His girlfriend, in turn, puts a report on me to immigration to try to get me deported. Believe me, it's not worth having a YouTube channel on here. There's always going to be somebody out there that's envious of you for whatever the reason may be. Don't matter what it is. There's always going to be somebody who's jealous of your channel, how you talk. I don't. There's not really a win situation on YouTube, and we've had a lot of old timers here. They're all dying, and not all that old either. They're dropping like flies on here, and some people have just gotten off YouTube. Period. There's too much responsibility, editing, all kinds of shit they have to do. I'm grassroots. I don't. Only editing I ever did on here with music. Oh, was I gonna? Well, let's see. Yeah, I've added music sometimes of past shows. No, I've literally had thousands of videos out before. I got knocked off a channel by accident where I had a shitload of subs, and I made the mistake of putting the channel on hide, but I didn't think I seen the button I was hitting. I probably had deleted everything. Just horrible. Yeah, when you get involved in YouTube, you there's a lot of things you have to accept that goes along with the responsibility of having a YouTube channel. It's not worth it. You know, I'd understand if you were making buku bucks every month. I mean, off your channel and revenue and all that shit. That would be exciting. If you were getting a lot of viewers, they were actually opening up their pockets. Most people on an average, well, let's see, that make money on here. This is just a very average channel. They may be making a few $100 a month or so. But really big channels, they can make several thousand a month. Successful, well researched, you know. But generally, you're not going to get rich from being monetized. Yeah, and he is going to be deported from this too. Might have wind up in a prison. Cyber libel means internet libelous statements that people are making that could destroy your reputation and a lot of other things. They're very serious out here in the Philippines about this shit. Yeah, and he's going to be deported. If he's got a summary deportation, but he might face some jail time. Well, good luck. But remember what I said, you can't open a business out here unless you have a Filipino business partner and it's 60-40, I think, on the profits, or you know, but you have to do everything legally. You got to register at the Bureau of Internal Revenue, report your income all the time. You still got to do that here. It's not that much different in other countries. You have to report your earnings, your losses, all that crap. And me, I'm just extra tired this morning because for some reason I couldn't get to sleep for a couple of hours. Normally I go to sleep within a half hour of putting my head down, but it took me a couple of hours to get to sleep last night. I'm not even sure why. So I'm extra tired this morning. All right, guys, I gotta go. Well, we're doing a wind down on here. We're doing a wind down. YouTube is really becoming extraordinarily boring. Unless you want to live for the drama, then I guess you'll enjoy yourself. But there's too much drama in life, period, to have to subject yourself to other people's drama. So if you're looking for a girlfriend out here, if that's what you had in mind, think well. And with that being said, I gotta go attend to some stuff here and get out of my yawning phase here. I do a little show here this morning and talk about the burnouts on YouTube and where it's all heading. I think there's a lot of changes going on. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of bailing out on their shows, or from death, or from just choices. A lot of viewers by choices are not really, if they had a YouTube channel, have pretty much given up on it. It's not worth the headache to make a few $100 a month or something, You know what I'm saying? Okay, thanks for listening, folks, and I'm out of here.